Hi folks, Christoph the Polish Geek and welcome to the movie review of Zootopia 2. And I have to say, I'm quite impressed because this is the best Disney animated canon movie I've seen in a while, actually.
Who'd have thought it?
Doesn't say much because yes, objectively, being a best in years is objectively not a very high bar to clear, but the first thing I will say is that I actually think it was better than the first Zootopia, because I've been saying on my channel quite a lot that the last great Disney animated canon movie is still very much the first Frozen movie. And then I thought that the first Zootopia was, well, a good movie, and I very much did enjoy it when I first watched it, but then it kind of like fell out of my memory, kind of like again, I did like it when I first watched it, but ultimately, it did kind of like basically like fell out of my memory after a couple of years. And then I always thought Moana on the other hand was very, very overrated, and honestly the last good Disney animated canon movie was Frozen 2, but everything else was trash. But I have to say again that Zootopia 2, not only is the best Disney animated canon movie in years, as I said, I think this is actually better than the first Zootopia, which would make it basically the best Disney animated canon movie since the first Frozen. I mean, it's nowhere near as great as the first Frozen or most movies before that, but then again, like, that's an unfair expectation. Like, the fact that it's, again, the best Disney animated canon movie in years, I think, is already a huge achievement in these days, actually. And I have to say, this year, surprisingly, is quite good for Disney. First Freaker Friday, now this. But I don't want people to get the wrong idea about Disney being saved. No, it's not saved, and it's likely not gonna be as long as those people that don't care for magic are in charge, sadly. Like, again, that's what I often say on my channel. A jewel in the trash doesn't turn trash into a box of treasure. You just take out the jewel, but trash remains trash. And that's what we have this year with Disney. We have two jewels in the trash that we take out, but trash remains trash through and through. And the first thing I have to say about Zootopia 2 is one of the reasons I like this movie much more than the first one is that first, it's so much more fast-paced, as well as it's also darker and more intense, actually, than the first movie. And from what I've seen from the trailers and all, it seemed like it's gonna be very much a rehash of the first movie, just now with reptiles. But no, I was actually very wrong. In fact, I'm gonna say it's actually quite an original story that in many ways differs from the first Zootopia movie and nicely builds on it and very much continues the growth and adventures of those characters from the first Zootopia. Now, was there some political messaging in Zootopia 2? Well, yeah, there was. If I claim that there was like zero preaching and political messaging, then that would just be being completely delusional. Because, I mean, this is still Disney we're talking about. Obviously, they're not gonna like avoid shoving any political agenda in their animated features at all. I mean, this is still Disney we're talking about. That said, is it so heavy that it detracts from a movie? And I say no. Not one bit. In fact, I'm gonna argue it was even less heavy-handed, far less actually, than it was in the first movie. And again, as I said, I did quite like the first movie and thought that overall the message still wasn't bad. It was actually a pretty good message. And this one, I say, has an even better message, which is that we should all just get along and be respectful to each other. Like, we can disagree. We can have disagreements. We should have disagreements. But what matters is, can we actually communicate those disagreements with each other, which kind of also basically very much reflected recent Trump conversation with New York City Mayor Mamdani, which was a really amazing conversation, by the way. I mean, how it's gonna go in the future, we're yet to see, and we're yet to see how the relationship evolves in the future. But but the conversation in the White House they had, it was a really fantastic conversation, and how truly I think cooperation between two people who very much disagree with each other should look like. Again, we'll see how it's gonna go in the future. This is only the beginning, but so far I say great start. And the message of Zootopia 2 was pretty much similar. We can disagree, but we should all just get along and have respectful conversations with each other. So yes, there certainly was some political messaging in the movie, but the actual overall message I actually liked. And another thing is that the true heart of this movie, though, is actually kind of what the heart was also in the first movie, which is the buddy cop relationship between Judy, the rabbit cop, as well as Nick, the fox cop. And basically, yep, their chemistry, dynamic, and friendship is basically still very much the heart of the story, of them having those disagreements and how they're gonna go about investigating a crime and mystery and all that. Yep, this is still pretty much the true heart of the story, and I very much enjoyed it. I really love their relationship, their dynamic, and the way they poke jokes at each other and have disagreements and all that. And I have to say also, in some ways, their relationship does kind of remind me of a relationship from one of my favorite shows of all time, a Polish police show, Gliniarze, which translates to cops. And I did actually bring that show up when I did my 25 favorite TV shows of all time, like it was number 5 on my list only. And yes, it very much reminded me of a relationship between two cops there, Natalia Nowak and her first partner, Robert Barch. And I mean, later, Robert Barch actually dies tragically at the end of second season, and Natalia Nowak's new partner becomes this guy Kuba Rogus. But whatever, the relationship between Judy and Nick, I couldn't stop but very much was thinking about Natalia Nowak and Robert Barch. But yes, I really love the relationship and chemistry between Judy and Nick. Again, that's probably the true heart of the movie. And are they in a romantic relationship or just very close friends? That admittedly also is another thing that very much reminds me of the relationship between Natalia Nowak and Robert Barch, but that's one of those things that it's basically make of that what you will. They very clearly have a very, very strong bond with each other, and they very deeply do care for one another, but it's actually kind of ambiguous. If they have some romantic feelings for each other, it's more like just very close friends, practically like brother and sister. But that's actually what makes it so cool. It's basically make of that what you will and choose whatever interpretation you want for it. But either way, it's pretty clear that they very much deeply love each other and have a very, very strong bond with each other. Is it romantic? Again, make of that what you will. And also the jokes I found pretty funny as well, and I've been actually laughing quite a few times, as were a lot of the people in my theater actually. So yes, the jokes were also really good and funny. And the final thing that I really loved in this movie is the main villain, because plenty of Disney fans have very much been calling for a Disney villain that's actually evil from the start, like in the classic Disney movies, because ever since the first Frozen, it very much became a trend for almost every Disney animated movie to basically have a twist villain. And it was pretty cool in Frozen, and also kinda cool in the first Zootopia, but after that it did kinda get old, and fans were understandably pretty frustrated with that. And while Wish did have a evil villain from the start, that movie was trash, and still what a shame for Disney's 100th anniversary. But Zootopia 2, on the other hand, is a very good movie, and as a result, it was actually welcome to have an evil villain that's actually evil from the start. I mean, sort of. I mean, it's still sort of a twist, but it's a twist that's not revealed at the end, but actually in the first third of the movie. So yeah, I mean, it's still sort of a twist, but a twist that's again revealed in sort of first third of the movie. So I guess it still counts as a villain that's evil from the beginning. So there was another thing that was very welcome in this movie. But overall, I have to say, Zootopia 2 is a best Disney movie in years. Yeah, I know, it's certainly not a high bar to clear, but again, I actually think Zootopia 2 was better than the first Zootopia. But would I call Zootopia 2 a great movie? No. The last great movie in the Disney animated canon is still very much the first Frozen, but I'm gonna go as far as to call Zootopia 2 very good, actually. And yes, so yes, this year has actually been quite decent for Disney, you could say. Again, first with Freaker Friday and now Zootopia 2, but again, that doesn't mean Disney is saved. And yeah, we might actually see some videos online of people saying, is Disney saved? But I'm not engaging in that, because again, several good movies. Will not save the company that as long as the same people are still in charge, it's for now isn't getting saved anytime soon, if ever, at this point. So yeah, I'm gonna get this out of the way. No, neither Zootopia 2 nor Freaker Friday is gonna save Disney. And if you choose not to watch this movie because you don't want to support Disney financially, then I very much support your decision. I highly respect it and completely understand your decision. It's perfectly understandable, trust me. But I personally really enjoyed Zootopia 2, and again, it's the best Disney animated canon movie in years. Best since the first Frozen. Again, it's probably not a very high bar, but still. And the final thing I wanna say, off topic, but I gotta mention that it was my birthday on 22nd of November, so yes, I got this shirt for my birthday. So you'll see it quite a lot on this channel now. But overall, I really enjoyed Zootopia 2, and if you are hungry for some good Disney animated canon movie or some just solid animated flick to watch with your kids, then I think Zootopia 2 is very much it. But again, if you choose not to support Disney financially, then I very much highly understand and support the decision, so do whatever you want. But again, I think Zootopia 2 is good. So thank you everyone for checking out this video. Press the like button, please subscribe to this channel, and I will talk to you soon in another video. Talk to you then, bye!